Hey, well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us again for another Ask an Artist. Today we're here with Visual Voices artist Joshua Hinson. Josh, so glad to have you with us. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Excellent, excellent. Wonderful to have you with us. Your work in Visual Voices is it's been so intriguing. It's been very interesting to a lot of our visitors. And so I'd like to start out talking a little bit about how did you become a professional artist? What got you started in your career path?
Yeah, I wanted to be an artist from a little kid. So I went to undergrad and got a Bachelor of Fine Arts. And during my undergrad years, I got married and we had a baby. And when we had a baby, I thought, it's feast or famine.
Yeah.
For artists that haven't really arrived. And so I went into art history, which got me into museum work, which got me into working for my tribe, which got me into language work. So now I do language work professionally, but my language work, is part and parcel of my visual production. So
that's interesting. I didn't know you had worked in the museum field, and sounds like you're still involved with the language element of it. I noticed you used a lot of Chickasaw language in your artwork. I guess it leads me to my next question. And in what way do you feel like your family, your community has really influenced your development as an artist?
Growing up outside of the nation, I didn't really feel like it was not a subject matter that I felt like I was allowed to explore, because I'm an outlander, born in Memphis, grew up in Texas. I'm not a brown person. I'm not like a community Chickasaw. So it really wasn't until graduate school. I went to the University of New Mexico and did my MA there in Native art history. Okay. But I met so many other Native people, including other Chickasaws, like, some of the first Chickasaw that I'd ever met who weren't my relatives. And becoming a student of the language, I started learning language in 2000. And when I took over directing the language program, I had this language knowledge, and language is in everything, right? There's nothing in our community that language doesn't touch. So why would I exclude it from my work?
That's really interesting. And it's really true. I mean, I feel like particularly you mentioned Western art, and that's a big part of it. I mean, it's so many of those artists were illustrators coming into it, but it's such a narrative art form. It tells a story with one picture. And so what got you started into the language training? I mean, did any of your family members speak the Chickasaw language?
So in my family, the last speaker died about 40 years before I was born.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. There was just something I had this instinct that language was the way to be the best Chickasaw I could be, because I didn't grow up with any of that, right? I mean, there's nothing like my granny. All my grannies were great. They were strong Chickasaw women, but they had that cultural identity had been stolen from them. I was a weird kid. Like at 9, I was like, making word lists and looking up things in my dictionary, and I didn't realize that, this was my life path, but here I am. So I'm a professional language worker. I do art on the side.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Well, with your artwork, I've noticed you've tried to incorporate a lot of the pieces that we have. You're using multiple mediums. Is there a favorite medium that you have? And what are some interesting things you've discovered as you've explored these various mediums?
Whether it be my carving work, my sculptural work, or my two-dimensional work, I really like the viewer to see my process. So, you'll see a tentative underdrawing. You'll see imperfectly sanded, pieces of wood, that kind of stuff. You'll see my flubs because, I don't know, I think they're interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't agree more. But there's a piece that you did that I think it's Wildcat Man meets Bigfoot that is part of Visual Voices, and people inevitably stop there all the time. So yeah. I was curious, like from the artist perspective, tell us a little bit about that piece. And is there like a cultural significance for Bigfoot in that?
Yeah, so this piece was inspired by a traditional story. Okay. It was a true story that happened. We have an animal-based clan system, and they went out hunting, and this one fellow always liked to hunt by himself. This Bigfoot ran into him, and I guess he could talk Chickasaw because he was like, hey, man, this is my spot. Like, get out of here. Yeah. And the hunter was like, all right, bring it. Like, see if you can make me leave. Well, Bigfoot overcome him, like he took him out and he tied him up to a tree. Uh-huh. He didn't kill him. He just tied him up to a tree. And it took 3 or 4 days until his hunting party, his buddies, found him tied to this tree. Oh my gosh. And from then on, he would never hunt alone. He would only hunt in a party. But there's actually a taboo. You're not supposed to say his name out loud because he'll come get you. Oh. But he hadn't come see me since I made that painting. So I don't know. I guess we're all right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's always such an interesting story. I think it's one of those things that fascinates people because there's enough photographs, people talking about encounters to think that there might be something still mysterious, still something to be discovered out there. It's just, I think, so engaging. People love it. People love it. Well, Josh, thank you so much for visiting with us. It's been a wonderful conversation. Appreciate your time and appreciate your stories. It's been fantastic. And I hope at some point in the future, you're able to come down to San Antonio. You said you lived in Texas at one point. Yeah. Whereabouts did you live?
I grew up in Abilene.
Okay. Oh, excellent. Well, thank you very much again. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for Ask an Artist. Please come and see Visual Voices. It is up right now at the Briscoe Western Art Museum through January.